We'll do this guy. I tell you what. I have advocates for people who want to ask questions as well. It's really great.
Yellow flag guy.
I'm sorry, this is not about healthcare.
What is that?
I said it's not about healthcare. This question. Would you support or introduce legislation that prevented people who took money from lobbyists on voting for any legislation that is impacted by that money? That's all.
Sure. Well, the short answer is no. Well, because the long answer is, it's not about, honestly, it's not about who you meet with. It's not about who contributes to your campaign. It's about the decisions and the quality of the decisions that you make and you can justify to the public, all right? And if you want to make a decision about voting for somebody or voting against somebody, you need to take anything into account that you want, right? But that's going to be your decision to do, and you should put people like me on the spot for where contributions come from. I mean, I'm not going into detail because I don't have the detail. It's on the Federal Election Commission site, opensecrets.org. You can go there and look at it yourself. This race in this district, I've had to raise about $1.5 million each cycle. We have a Seattle TV market and radio out of Seattle usually, so it can be very expensive to communicate in that regard. It's a very broad district in Everett, Blaine, go Blaine, go border rights, sorry, go border rights. So, so it does take a bit of money to run a race. I don't like it as much. So does Congress support campaign finance reform? Yes, we have. I do, and we have. We passed campaign finance reform in 2002, the McCain-Feingold Act that banned soft money, which was undisclosed money, unlimited money. And I think in the good tradition of Thomas Jefferson, the more information you have, the better citizen you are. And so disclosure about who's contributing to campaigns is very important, so you can make your own decisions about whether I should be taking a contribution from, $25 from Aunt Gladys, right? Or because she wants Medicare to be there forever, or from a lobbyist, or from somebody who's not a lobbyist, or from a political action committee there. What do you do? Okay. Bill Cabinet's okay. Or if I should take a political action committee money from the Cabinet Makers Association of America. Which you support, right, exactly, right. So, he says you support it. My point is that effective representation also relies on effective participation. And you all have the skills and the capabilities to be effective participants in this democracy and keep me accountable. And that's what you ought to do. Passing legislation to say you can't do X, Y, or Z, I think those are Band-Aids. I think the real thing is the constant accountability, the constant participation from people like you who are in the face of people like me, and one day when I'm not here, in the face of the person who you give the job to next. That's where I come from on that. So we're going to do a couple. Are you really a healthcare worker? Are you a healthcare worker from my district? Okay, healthcare worker from my district. Got it.
There's been a lot of talk across the country at these forums about having the government get in between you and your doctor. The trouble is, we've already got somebody in between you and your doctor, and that's called the insurance company. I work in a doctor's office, and I spent an hour and a half a couple of months ago trying to get authorization for a person to have an MRI from an insurance company. And they kept me on the line and never gave me a positive answer on that. And these people are not even medical people that are making these decisions. And the thing I like about Obama's plan is that he's going to have a panel, but they're going to be not insurance companies, but health people that know what they're talking about, that make the decision. And I just want to thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks. Let's go up front here, right here. You'll have to wait. I can hear you fine, but you have to wait for the mic. Hey, by the way, what book are you reading tonight? Was I so boring tonight? You're reading something? What's going on? Tarzan of the Apes, Edgar Rice Burroughs.
All right.
The Penguin edition.
So, no, thank you. Section 246 denies federal payments for illegal aliens, and there is an exemption for them in the subsection of 401. But any taxpayer who doesn't have a basic acceptable health care plan under Section 401 would be liable, the IRS could tax them at 2.5%, whether for the entire year or a portion of the year. And if somebody's on unemployment, they've obviously gotten a lesser income. They're worried about their rent, their food, their utilities, rather than making an insurance premium payment. And for those who are unemployed, you know, they're not, where are they getting the money to pay for that insurance premium as well? So I don't see how this is going to be deficit neutral.
With regards to the exemption you mentioned, I've got a fact sheet here and I can't find it fast enough. And so, no, yeah, I know, I've got a fact sheet about it. There are some folks who believe that in this exemption sections that there's an exemption where one hand giveth, one hand taketh away, where one section says illegal immigrants won't be eligible. There's an exemption section that allows them to be. Again, without getting into without finding it, we talked about this morning. There's just no exemption for that. There's just no exemption for illegal immigrants or undocumented aliens in the language of the bill to get health care under the system. There just is not. I was getting to that. Right, I was getting to that, but you had mentioned the thing about exemptions, and it just isn't there. No, they don't. Well, we can talk about it later. So with regards to the 2.5%, what the bill says, what this bill says, is that again you want to create the pool of people so you can spread the risk out among everybody in the exchange. And if you are somebody who can't afford healthcare coverage, you will be eligible based on income. To receive subsidy to help pay for the premium for your plan that you choose in the exchange. So it's not a matter of just saying, well, if someone who can't afford it and they're going to opt out, so it'll be a 2.5% penalty. If someone can't afford it, there's help for them to afford it. And so then they get a plan that meets the acceptable coverage standard, and then there's no penalty. The question was, does it pay 100% of the premium? Depends on income level. It's graduated up to 400% of federal poverty level, and so it's 100, 200, 300%, up to 400%, and it's a sliding scale subsidy based on the income level.